Never call out liars. The focus of today's discussion is going to be people lying to you, rather than people lying about you or behind your back. That's a topic for another day. Let me be clear. I'm also not talking about little white lies that serve as social lubricant to maintain harmony. Lies like, "It's so good to see you. What a beautiful baby. That's a great idea, boss. You don't look fat at all in that dress." I'm also not talking about lies that give people comfort. Perhaps they can't handle the truth or be honest with themselves. Perhaps they feel they've talked themselves into a corner and lied to escape possible embarrassment. Or people who exaggerate the truth in order to impress others or save face. What I'm talking about here is subterfuge. People using deceit and manipulation in order to put one over on you, to gain an advantage, to avoid the consequences of wrongdoing. This sort of lying is never done for your benefit. When you catch someone in such a lie, understand that this is the one you caught them in. The question now becomes how many of their lies have slipped under your fence. Do not pretend this is an isolated incident because it most likely is not. Depending on the severity of the lie, it should call into question the person's character, as well as the veracity of previous statements they may have made. Do not call this person out unless you're committed to severing ties, burning that bridge, or keeping them at a full arm's length. At the very least, you will need to keep your guard up around these types of people. There's an old saying, "Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me." If you catch someone lying to others, but you haven't caught them lying to you, assume this behavior is pervasive. Do not be naive and think you are exempt. Do not call someone out unless there's a good reason for doing so. A reason other than showing everyone how smart you are or exposing this person for what they are, a con artist. What I found is that when people are willing to lie about an issue at this level, they're willing to lie about everything at that level and above in terms of significance. So why is it a bad idea to call someone out who's lying to you? Whether it's a friend, spouse, employer, salesman, etc. Simple. Because all you're doing is alerting them to the fact that you were able to catch them in that lie. Essentially, you would be training them to become better at their craft. Calling someone out does not make them want to be honest. It doesn't make them want to be a better person. It simply makes them want to be a better liar so you won't catch them the next time. Lying's a choice, and it's been my experience that calling out liars only trains them to be better liars. So why do we do it? Why do we feel this overwhelming compulsion to call people out who are being deceptive? It's because on some level we recognize that we're being played for a fool, and we want to show them that we're not so easy to take advantage of. And oh, does it feel so good to call people out on their BS? But that satisfaction comes at a price. Dealing with people like this is like playing chess. You always have to be thinking several moves ahead. And sometimes you have to be willing to sacrifice a few chessmen to set the board up in your favor. My advice? Hang the ego on the door and let them think they got one over on you. It'll make detecting their lies in the future easier. Thus, you'll be one step ahead of them. Or at the least, you'll be able to hold this person to a proper expectation. Only confront someone if there's something in it for you. There has to be something in it for you other than the satisfaction of busting someone. You aren't here to police people or be the voice of morality. You aren't a private investigator trying to get to the bottom of some mystery or crime. And the last thing you need to do is the drama of mixing it up with people who like to play games. Part of wisdom and maturity is knowing when to open your mouth and when to keep it closed. Sometimes we're forced to have to deal with these people for one reason or another. Family members, spouses, roommates, boss, etc. Once you discover this person is not to be trusted, Adjust how you interact with them and keep your guard up. Once you identify a liar's tells, it gives you an advantage. You take away their power to manipulate you. Just like the game of poker, it turns the tables on the liar and puts you in a position of power. Think about this like being in a foreign country and the natives assume you're just another dumb tourist to be taken advantage of. They have no clue that you can speak their language. So they talk candidly right in front of you. And they say things that they would never say otherwise. They look up at you smiling, pretending everything's great. They think they have a real sucker on their hands. What they don't know is that you speak their language and you know exactly what they're up to. Think of the advantage you would have. You get a sneak peek into what other people are really thinking. It would be wise to never let on and just play along. In the end, you would be the one who comes out ahead. Second, calling out someone to be a liar may open a whole new can of worms. They may become defensive, accusatory, and even launch defamatory attacks in an effort to shift the focus onto you and away from them. Third, it makes no logical sense to confront a liar in hopes of getting the truth. What you're doing is asking someone who's been caught deceiving you to come clean and be honest. That's probably not going to happen. If people were willing to own up to their lies when it became clear the jig was up, then our intelligence agencies and military wouldn't need interrogation specialists. 4. While some may try to sharpen their lie detection skills, the truth is people lie for different reasons, and they lie in many different ways. There are professionals who devote their entire career to uncovering deception. They focus on body language, movement, tone, context, speech patterns, etc. For common civilians, our time could probably be better spent. Trust me, a few YouTube videos and books are not going to make one a human lie detector. If anything, it will cause the person to greatly overestimate their lie detection skills, leaving them more vulnerable to the duplicitous dealings of others. They may more easily catch the less intelligent or capable con artists, but the real sociopaths and narcissists will use their overestimation of ability against them. I saw a documentary of a famous con artist and they asked him what he looked for in a mark. His reply, someone who thinks they're too smart to be taken advantage of. Reminds me of one of my old girlfriends when I was young. I remember it was like yesterday. She told me, I would never lie to you. You're way too smart. You'd catch me in an instant. Plus, I'm a terrible liar. I just have such a guilty conscience. Well, I was young and full of ego, so I bought that BS hook, line, and sinker. At that point, she knew she could play me like a puppet. Anytime something seemed off or wasn't adding up, I'd bring it to her attention. And of course, she would reassure me that everything was fine, there was nothing to worry about, just a coincidence. Sometimes for good measure, she might even accuse me of being insecure or paranoid if I got close enough to the truth. But she would never confess. I could have had the CIA waterboard her and not gotten the truth. That's why I tell you, do not call out liars. Do not allow your ego to train other people to become better at deceiving you.